Hello everybody and welcome back. It's been a whole week since I last posted, and there's been a lot of stuff going on. Most prominently the Mini Maker Faire Stuttgart, which turned out to be really mini. There were just 3 other exhibitions apart from the one that I took part in. But it was a really nice thing, and I had a lot of fun being there. And I visited the other people there, and they had really interesting things like optics combined with 3D printing and some kind of toolbox set. There was another maker there who had extremely interesting projects. It was very cool. There was another exhibition about people who do all types of measurement, like in IoT, but they do a lot more. Well, how do you say it? They measure everything. They measure the oxygen level, they measure particles in the air, they measure humidity, and they put all of it into the internet so you get the big picture. And that was very interesting too. We were mostly showing off my 2 little printers here. We had a few electronics projects and some fabrication in general. And we had a lot of visitors, and it was really cool doing it in a bookstore. I mean, this was the biggest and oldest bookstore in all of Stuttgart, if not the biggest and oldest one in Germany, but I don't know that for sure. And it was really fun. And the 3D printer, well, it was ready just in time. And I plugged it in, I gave it something to work, and it kept working the whole day. It was just amazing. I've never had a printer start out with no problem at all. Later that day, a few problems formed, but as it turns out, it was my fault, because I had a little bit of a mess up when I was doing the Z-axis rod and the bearing holding it in place. There was a metal shaving or metal flake or something in the bearing, and it caused it to have a lot of Z-axis wobble. And for example, you can see it on this little groove here in the face. There's some indication of Z-axis wobble. It's not too bad, but I was kind of annoyed by it because I thought I'd done everything right so that wouldn't happen. And if it hadn't been for that one little metal shaving, I would have. I did more prints, and these came out just perfect. And in the end, I did a small modification to the Z-axis mount, so it can now take a little bit of flex from the threaded rod, and that makes it a lot better. In fact, I just printed this Luby figurine, which is one of the... oh, that sticks down well. Which is one of the prints that I do very often, and it turned out just fabulous. And yeah, I did change the nozzle to 0.3 millimeters because this printer is just so incredibly good. There's no problem with the build platform. It's absolutely perfectly parallel to the x-axis. It is perfectly perpendicular to the y-axis. It's just, I don't know, this one just came out right. Let's say it that way. I did post about my success getting these rods to work. The ones that gave me such trouble when I was starting out. Let's get out here a bit, because they were really bad. I mean, they were incredibly bad. Have a look at this. There's like nothing happening here, no matter how I shake it. And yeah, that doesn't work for a 3D printer. I'm sorry, it doesn't. But Banggood was very friendly. They refunded me the money I need to go buy new blocks. And actually, I ordered 3 blocks now. But I did have a chance to do some diagnostic on the problem, and this is what it looks like now. And it's not a nice fix, but it works. Basically what you need to do is you need to take off the block, you need to flip it around, and you need a very tiny screwdriver like this one. You should keep all of the small balls in place, and then you should insert the screwdriver between the little metal clip, the clipping wire, and the top of the metal, and just very carefully bend that wire outwards. Just about 1/2 millimeter. Be really careful so you don't do too much of it, because if you do, you're going to start losing the balls, like what's happening here right now. You should probably do that over a bowl or something where these can go into. I'm going to make a mess here. Then you flip it around, and you do the same thing on the other side, like so. Just carefully bend it upwards. It took me a while to figure this out, and I actually took one set of balls from one of the blocks, and I painted them all white, and when they were all white, all of the paint would just accumulate in these edges over here where the balls go into the plastic and back into the block, and that was kind of an indication that something was wrong there. Now I'm going to do it on the other side of the block. Really careful. We just need like 1/2 millimeter more. The problem is you can take this piece of wire out and try and bend it, but you'll get it like 100% wrong. I actually broke one of the blocks that way by trying to remove the wire and bend it. It's just a bit too short. Okay, and now that they're all bent slightly, just reinsert it into the block. Oh well, we have some improvement. It's not perfect yet, it can go even better, but it is a lot better than before. The balls are now all moving inside of the block and inside the rail, so it's a great improvement, and you can even do better. And once you have it all working, you should take some very, very good bearing grease and grease up the balls and grease up the little recess in here, because that helps a lot. Once it's all greased, just clean it back off, and you're good to go. Now, this isn't perfect, but it's a lot better than before. And so these rails aren't all that bad, but whoever put them together did it with so much hurry or so much force, or these little clips were just this tiny bit too small for the assortment of plastic parts, that it just didn't work out. And in fact, I got one that is different. The one that is working, that is under the table here, this little green plastic part, which basically reverses the direction of the ball so they can go back through the block. The plastic part is smaller, so if they were using the same metal pieces and the same tabs in there, that one would have like 1/2 millimeter more of space in there, and it would be working better. So that is what I did to these blocks. If you want to try it, just try it out. It works reasonably well. And just make sure you don't overdo it, and take some sort of bowl and do it above the bowl. So if you lose any of the balls, just make sure that they don't go where you can't find them again. So that was that. All right, what else did I do within this week? Oh yeah, if you have a look at my little extruder here, you can see that my extruder has the cooling fan for the print mounted backwards, and that is because it is actually drawing in the air through the back and expelling it over the print. So I needed to do an update to the Repetier firmware, so this fan would always spin. So if you reset the printer and you turn it back on, it's gonna fire up to full speed for about, well, 10 seconds or so, just to get rid of any dust or anything that has accumulated inside, and then it's gonna drop to 25%, and that is about enough to keep this small cooler and the cool block up here cool enough so you can print, and so you don't get any filaments stuck in the PTFE tube above the extruder. So that is cool enough. And once you're printing, the controller software, like it's used to, can ramp up the speed of the fan to cool the print, and that leads to very, very nice prints. The quality is really good. I do have some oozing here, but that is because I reduced the retract length to 2 millimeters, and that is a little bit, well, it's not enough. Right, so that was what I had been doing this week. Yeah, I have been working a lot on getting all of these parts here finalized so I can publish the STL files, and I will start doing that next week. I will start working on a bill of materials for all the other parts that I'm using, and we can go at open sourcing this project. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and bye bye.